Imagine a world of towering palaces, mighty empires, and bustling trade routes connecting civilizations from Greece to Egypt. A world of bronze weapons, golden treasures, and epic heroes we still tell stories about today. This was the Late Bronze Age, a glittering, interconnected global society that seemed destined to last forever. But then, in the span of a single generation, it all came crashing down. Welcome to one of history's greatest mysteries, the Bronze Age collapse. 3,200 years ago, the world was dominated by superpowers. In Anatolia, modern-day Turkey, the formidable Hittite Empire controlled vast territories, their chariots feared on every battlefield. In Greece, the Mycenaeans, the civilization of Agamemnon and the Trojan War, built massive citadel fortresses and amassed incredible wealth. To the south, the new kingdom of Egypt, led by pharaohs like Ramesses the Great, stood as a beacon of power and culture that had endured for millennia. These empires were not isolated. They were part of a complex, sophisticated network. Royal letters written on clay tablets show us kings calling each other brother, exchanging lavish gifts of gold, ivory, and exotic goods. Ships crisscrossed the Mediterranean, carrying copper from Cyprus and tin from as far as Afghanistan, the essential ingredients for making bronze. This was the first great era of globalization, a world bound together by trade, diplomacy, and shared culture. The cities were magnificent. Hattusa, the Hittite capital, was protected by immense stone walls. Mycenae, with its famous Lion Gate, oversaw a kingdom of wealthy warrior princes. And in the Near East, port cities like Ugarit were vibrant cosmopolitan hubs where merchants from across the known world gathered. It was a golden age, but a storm was gathering on the horizon. Around 1200 BC, the world began to unravel, suddenly and violently. City after city, from the Greek mainland to the shores of the Levant, was put to the torch. Archaeologists digging through the ruins find the same terrifying story everywhere. Thick layers of ash and destruction, skeletons lying unburied in the streets, and evidence of a final, desperate struggle. Mighty Hattusa was abandoned and burned, its empire vanishing from history so completely that it was only rediscovered in the 20th century. The opulent palaces of the Mycenaeans at Pylos and Mycenae were consumed by fire, their sophisticated society crumbling into dust. The great trading hub of Ugarit was utterly destroyed, with one of its last letters being a desperate plea for help that arrived too late. The letter reads, "My father, behold, the enemy's ships came. My cities were burned, and they did evil things in my country." It was the last message ever sent. The scale of the destruction was staggering. Civilizations that had flourished for centuries were wiped off the map. Writing systems, like the Mycenaean Linear B script, disappeared entirely, forgotten for thousands of years. The intricate trade networks that had been the lifeblood of the Bronze Age world disintegrated. In the aftermath, Greece plunged into a period we call the Greek Dark Ages. For 400 years, populations plummeted. Art and architecture became simple and crude, and people forgot how to write. It was as if a light had been switched off across the entire eastern Mediterranean. Even the mighty Egyptian empire, though it survived, was severely weakened, pushed to the brink, and losing its vast overseas territories forever. The world had been reset. So, what caused this catastrophe? This is the central mystery that has puzzled historians for decades. There was no single culprit, but rather a perfect storm of crises that hit all at once, creating a domino effect of collapse. One of the leading theories is climate change. Scientific evidence from ancient pollen, lake beds, and stalagmites points to a prolonged period of severe drought that began around 1200 BC. This mega-drought would have caused widespread crop failures, leading to famine on an unimaginable scale. People were starving. When people starve, societies become unstable. We see evidence of this in desperate letters between kings, begging for grain shipments to fend off starvation. This famine and desperation likely triggered another factor: mass migrations and social upheaval. Entire populations may have been uprooted, searching for new lands to survive. This internal chaos would have strained empires to their breaking point. Systems of government collapsed, and people abandoned the cities in search of food. And then there are the invaders. Egyptian inscriptions from this period speak of a mysterious confederation of attackers who came from the sea. The Egyptians called them the Sea Peoples. Pharaoh Ramesses III inscribed his temple walls with dramatic accounts of his battles against them, boasting, "I have overthrown those who invaded from their islands." They were all slain and their bodies were a heap. But who were these Sea Peoples? Were they pirates, refugees, or a coordinated military force? Their origins are a complete mystery. Some scholars believe they might have been displaced Mycenaeans or other groups from the Aegean and Mediterranean, themselves victims of the ongoing collapse, now turned into raiders. They weren't a single group, but a collection of different peoples, on the move and desperate. They swept down the coast of the Levant, toppling kingdoms, before finally being stopped at the borders of Egypt. Their attacks were the final, devastating blow to an already fragile system. Imagine a world already crippled by famine and internal revolt, now facing waves of relentless, unknown attackers. The collapse was inevitable. Other factors may have also played a role. The Bronze Age armies were built on a complex supply chain for copper and tin. When trade routes were disrupted by drought and unrest, the supply of bronze would have dried up. This meant armies couldn't be equipped, and the very foundation of military power crumbled. Some historians also point to new military tactics, perhaps introduced by the Sea Peoples, that rendered the traditional chariot armies of the great empires obsolete. Finally, some even suggest that earthquakes or disease pandemics could have added to the chaos. A system's collapse where every part of society failed at once. The world that emerged from the ashes of the Bronze Age was entirely different. The old empires were gone. In their place, smaller, more localized kingdoms and city-states began to form. Iron, a metal that was more readily available than the components of bronze, became the new material of choice, ushering in the Iron Age. In Greece, out of the darkness, a new civilization would eventually arise, one that would give us democracy, philosophy, and theater. The Phoenicians, inheritors of the maritime trade, would create a new alphabet, the ancestor of the one we use today. The collapse, as devastating as it was, cleared the way for a new world to be born. The story of the Bronze Age collapse is a haunting reminder of how fragile even the most powerful civilizations can be. It shows us how a combination of climate change, resource scarcity, and mass migration can bring a complex global system to its knees. It's a story of mighty kings and forgotten empires, of mysterious invaders, and a world plunged into darkness. It's a historical epic written in layers of ash and ruin, a puzzle we are still piecing together today. And it serves as a powerful lesson from the distant past, echoing into our own interconnected, and perhaps just as fragile, modern world. Thank you so much for watching. If you found this journey into the past fascinating, please hit the like button and subscribe for more deep dives into history's greatest mysteries. Let us know in the comments which theory about the collapse you find most convincing. We'll see you in the next video.